Now we are going to leave the place for Veera Koponen. She's a doctoral student here in the Helsinki University of Helsinki, and she's an very important member of the Anywhere project. So please.
Thank you, Karoliina. My name is Veera Koponen, and I'm a doctoral student in our Anywhere research project in our University of Helsinki Faculty of Law. And today I will be speaking about non-human animals in European Union constitutional law. Currently, I think that there is two ways we can approach animals in the European Union constitutional law. And the first one is quite well-known counterbalancing act between human rights and then animal welfare. And today I'm going to go through this counterbalancing act by using the Charter of the Fundamental Rights of the European Union as a basis to illustrate the counterbalancing act. And then I'll be also presenting the article from the Charter that allows us to limit human rights to ensure better non-human animal welfare. So that is the first part of my presentation. And then I go to the current clauses in European Union Constitution that protect non-human animals. And I have divided that to the ones that protect animals as sentient beings, then the ones protecting non-human animals as part of the biodiversity, and then the ones, I wanted to raise this one example because I have been investigating that recently, so how non-human animals can also be protected indirectly by human rights. So those are the two parts of my presentation today. So if we first go to this counterbalancing issue, I wanted to mention that in this context, when it comes to constitutional approaches, I'm not be talking about human interests to fur farming that is the one I'm going to talk about. The human interest to use fur is trivial and not that relevant constitutional wise, but the human interest which is relevant when it comes to the constitution is the freedom to conduct a business and the right to property, not the interest to use fur. And then on the next slide, I'm having some examples related to the Charter of the Fundamental Rights of the European Union. I have 3 articles there that I wanted to raise, but there is also other issues and articles where this counterbalancing act may happen. So this is not exhaustive list. So first, let's have the articles there. So the freedom of religion, then the freedom to conduct a business, the right to property, and then also environmental protection. And here are relevant animal welfare issues related to these articles. I wanted to pick these 3 because the first one is somehow obvious. I think that in European Union we have this killing regulation which is quite well known, and there is that article which requires stunning animals prior to killing. But when it comes to religious rights, we don't have to do that. So, for example, in Finland, Animal Welfare Act is currently allowing religious slaughter without stunning animal prior to the killing. So that is quite an obvious one. Then we have animal production. As I said, the freedom to conduct business and the right to property are also related to fur farming, which is like quite hot topic in Finland because it still continues. But this, of course, also applied to the other forms of animal production. And then the topic of environmental protection is interesting because it can also protect animals, but when it comes to the treatment of invasive species, the non-human animals, like animal individuals that are part of the invasive species, may be treated quite badly if we focus on environmental protection. So these are like fundamental rights and then animal welfare issues that may need counterbalancing. But it's sometimes claimed that the Counterbalancing Act always leads to having human rights always superior to animal interests and animal welfare. But I think that is not true because we have this article that allows us to limit human rights if you want to enhance animal welfare. And in this article, it is required that the purpose of the limitation meets general interest recognized by the European Union. Then, of course, the question is animal welfare this kind of a general interest? And I'm happy to say that it is, because there is rulings from the Court of Justice of the European Union that have stated the animal welfare to be such an objective of general interest. There are the rulings mentioned if someone is interested. So this was the first part of my presentation when it comes to counterbalancing act between human rights and animal welfare, and how non-human animals are protected or the status of non-human animals in the European Union Constitution. But then to the second part of what are the clauses currently in a European Union Constitution protecting non-humans. So the first one is quite well known, and that is maybe the most relevant in the context of animal law because it protects animals as sentient beings. So Veera went through this article today in the keynote, so I'm not going there, but you know the basic issue that there is recognition of non-human animals as sentient beings, but also that religious rights, cultural traditions, and regional heritage has to be respected. But in the same treaty where the sentience is stated, there is also non-human animals referred as agricultural products. So in the context of this treaty, the status of non-human animals isn't that animal friendly if we consider the full picture. Then non-human animals are also part of the biodiversity clauses, and there is many of those in different instruments. But then, of course, the problem is that are these protection limited to wild animals? And in Finland, we have had this discussion of the section 20 of our constitution, which protects environment and also biodiversity, and non-human animals are considered part of that biodiversity, but then is that clause limited only to wild animals? And currently, based on the latest discussions, I would say that dynamic and evolutive interpretation of our constitution, which applies also to the European instruments, allows us to see the domesticated animals also in the scope of the protection of that Finnish of that section of Finnish constitution, and I think that this could be sometimes also the case in the context of the European Union instruments. Then, of course, we have this problem when it comes to biodiversity clauses, that we focus on species existence instead of individual non-human individuals. We had quite good discussion of this topic yesterday in one of the parallel sessions, so I'm not going there in this speech. Then, last but not least, my new favorite, because I have been researching this quite recently. So this comes quite close to what Jodi was presenting, could current clauses in European Union Constitution also protect non-human animals in a more indirect way. And in the Charter of the Fundamental Rights of the European Union, we have this freedom of thought, conscience, and religion. And when it comes to that, veganism can be, I claim, considered as a matter of conscience that can be protected via this article. And European Court of Human Rights has stated veganism as this kind of a belief in their rulings. So in European level, I think that this case might be clearer than in the Canadian context. And I also think that this protection of veganism as a conscience could be approached via discrimination or non-discrimination article, because in Finland children are getting free school food, and there has been this issue that vegan kids are not getting the free school food because of the veganism. So I have been claiming that this is a discrimination issue because those kids are not getting the same right as others because of their conscience, veganism. So that was my presentation. I hope I'm on time. I am, yeah. So thank you. Yeah.